what I hear now in New York, right? It's like what I hear, as you said, like this New York, LA, et cetera vibe, right? Like Memphis is part of that, right? There are lots of Memphis musicians that are involved with creating that kind of music.
Welcome to the Shellcast, a show about music, culture, and Memphis.
As we live into our mission of building community through music,
education,
and diversity,
we look forward to interviewing artists and musicians and hearing about how they are writing their own stories,
and building their own communities.
85 years strong, and with a rich history, the Levitt Shell has stood the test of time as a beacon of hope in the heart of Memphis. I can actually do that one more time.
This podcast is brought to you by Orion Federal Credit Union, where a big part of us is being a big part of the community. Visit orionfcu.com to see how Orion is redefining banking.
Welcome to the Shellcast. For today's episode, I spoke with DJ collective Bodywerk, which includes Rmzi, DJ Chandler Blingg, Qemist, and Ross. We spoke about the Memphis dance scene, how they found community during the pandemic, and how they are working to build community. Now, here's our conversation with Bodywerk. Obviously, I have to start off with probably a question you all get quite a bit. What is Bodywerk?
I guess I'll take that one. Bodywerk, I think, originated as a party that we all wanted to throw. We had started to do a few gigs around town, mostly at Lamplighter Lounge. And then we were like, all right, guys, like, let's get together. Let's like put all our minds together. Let's figure out what's our like branding, let's do our own party. And we went through a couple of different iterations. I think we talked about calling it the Function. Everybody was like, nah, they're very lukewarm on that. And then I was like, Bodywerk itself is like clearly like a particular vibe that we're going for, but it's also spelled WERK, right? It's like intentionally on this like new, I don't know, like it's like slightly millennial, but like rave culture, like just like club culture that I think is something that doesn't really exist in Memphis, but we all love to dance and we all love
Bodywerk is the dinner,
Is the dinner?
It's the dinner. Like, it's like we had known each other, been DJing together, and I feel like the dinner is really what sealed it. Like, just being able to cook together, like be together. Yeah, be together in a space where there's like a fellowship, and we're all like, just. I mean, the way we cook dinner together is the same way we DJ together. Like, everyone is just fluid.
Intended Qemist.
Yeah, I think that's how we all kind of like started, because we've known each other outside in similar circles for it feels like going on 5-6 years now that everybody's kind of been floating around each other in different ways, and I think the stars finally aligned for all of us to, of course, have shows at WYXR on the radio station, and kind of tightening our bonds through that. And also, again, like the stamp of approval was after our first official Bodywerk session, we went and we made dinner the following day, and kind of like sealed the deal as far as like what this was to everyone and how we wanted to like continue it and let it like evolve with us.
Yeah.
I love that. I love how you all bring up the community aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like the intention from the beginning was just like, we all have overlapping interests in music and also are like separate little skills, and just being able to use that to help each other get gigs and help each other get like opportunities just to DJ. Because that's, to me, what it's always been about, is just like having like that network of friends to just get more DJ gigs and not worry about all of the hassle that comes with like figuring that stuff out. Yeah, exactly.
That's real.
I think I have a little bit of a different approach, or not even approach, but kind of perspective, because I think y'all have definitely known each other for many, many years, but I actually am kind of a newcomer to the DJing space, both like DJing at all and here in Memphis. And we all did meet through WYXR, but I think like getting together and really like I came like during COVID, like coming out of like quarantine in kind of starting to get back into the world, right? We had this like built-in community at WYXR that I felt like we leveraged really well to find a group of folks who wanted to go take that outside, right? To like reintroduce, the community to being outside, ourselves to being outside in a way that like very much promotes like a healthy environment centered around dance,
I love that. And I guess in you all kind of coming together in more of this, for lack of a better way of putting it, like a collective, have you all noticed more of a growth in that dance scene here in Memphis?
I'll say yeah. It's definitely been like a bigger growth situation. Merging all of because we, again, have been around the scene for a while, and I think when we started like building this like Voltron level situation where everybody's like doing their thing and coming together, it brought more attention because we know obviously a lot more people than, as a one versus like all of us together. So I think that like helped a lot as far as like getting us off the ground and starting to build like a cultural footprint a little bit better. So yeah.
Jess, I mean, what about you? Jess, you did Hue before we started doing Bodywerk. There's like a history, right?
That was my first introduction to like a lot of stuff. Because mind you, I've only been DJing publicly since like 2017. Like 2017 kind of. And Hugh, like somebody was just like, yo, I want to do a series on this rooftop. It's a new place. And I'm very familiar with the place. My mom worked at the Madison Hotel I literally grew up there. So it felt like I was supposed to do this. I came up with a template and like we met for coffee and he was like, I would want you to do it for like 4 hours. Like it would just be super cool. Like sort of like just something new from Memphis. Like he was just like New York, LA vibes, all that stuff. And I was like, all right, cool. And in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm about to list all my homies. I'm about to organize this to see how we can do this, like put a schedule together. And I'm about to just like finesse. Like that was literally my second nature thing. I was like, all right, here we go. How can we do this? And I did it. And I was like, I knew that it would work because I got to present it to them. And they were just like, okay, cool. Like they just wanted something going on.
Word.
And it was something that kind of transformed summer 2019.
For sure.
Like it was crazy. And it went from June 21st until September 6th.
Wow. That's sick. I love how you gave the lobs to the homies.
Like people are even asking us, when is the next Bodywerk thing? Like, where are you guys going next? Like,
I always say that Bodywerk is something that people always craved, but never knew how or where to get it, until they felt it or experienced it. And they were just like, okay, this is what I've been searching for. And it just keeps quenching their thirst. And they're just like, when is this going to happen again?
For sure. I've always felt that like Memphis is a city that has always appreciated and had a space for, or at least like an appreciation for like dance music and like soul, hip hop, like melding all these things together. But there's never really been a sort of like late night atmosphere where you can just go
and
really enjoy that.
That's facts.
Yeah. That was a crazy movement. That's what inspired me to DJ.
I'm too young for
going
that.
to Electricity.
Do you remember Electricity?
Electricity.
Like, did you go to that?
I did, yeah. Back in like 2009.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, and that's where you could like sweat. That was like one of the only parties in
Credit for debit. That was on Broad. Like that small, like super sketchy art studio that was incredible.
Yeah, I want that energy, like when I went to Electricity and like EDM and dubstep and all this was coming over from like the UK and like starting to like have a real imprint. And I went to New York for college, and when I was there, I just went nuts. I mean, I went to as many shows as I could, and I like loved this music and engaged so deeply. And whenever I come back to Memphis, the only place that I could feel anywhere near the same was at Electricity. And I just kept, I kept going as often as I could. But when I when I would start coming back, it kind of evaporated. I felt like at some point, right? Like I never, like the party stopped happening, and then it just went back to like, all right, let's go down to Beale, like, let's dance a little bit. Let's get, get on the balconies and then go have a Dyer's burger.
What was it called? 152 on the third floor.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
But I think that like the music that I try to bring to Bodywerk is like what I hear now in New York, right? It's like what I hear, as you said, like this New York, LA, etc. vibe, right? Like Memphis is part of that, right? There are lots of Memphis musicians that are involved with creating that kind of music, right? Showcasing that first and foremost is super important to be like, this is also a part of the Memphis scene. And like there's like Memphis Concrete and so many other institutions that highlight like wonderful electronic music coming out of Memphis. But it's like, what inspires them and what exists outside of like the top 40 or even like deep undercover or underground rap stuff that like people just don't hear all the time. Like it's not really put in front of them. And so building a space it's not easy. It's been like super challenging, I think, to do that, from like sound to like getting people in the room to even just people's acceptance of like the music itself.
True. And then I mean, obviously we're still in a pandemic, but I mean, being in the pandemic, how did you all, I know you mentioned WYXR, which I think is one way of building kind of like that community when you can't actually be in a room with someone. But how else did you all build community when you couldn't be in a room and and people couldn't congregate to dance and experience that?
Yeah, it was a process. Like from my perspective, at least on my end, it was more over me going in and just like understanding that like, all right, and the pandemic actually happened right as Future Everything was about to do their big annual like artist showcase at Growlers. It was like a weekend, probably 2 weeks prior to the actual thing happening. But we had to like take a step back. Me specifically, I started I was a little deflated at first, but I bought a bike and I started riding my bike every day, and I started writing a lot more music, and that made me feel more connected to just everybody that I was working with, because I would send, whatever I was working on in a file folder and just kind of keep the community going as far as like the artists and the producers that I would like send this stuff to. We would send music back. I would get some cue points and just like start building more music off of that. So that the real way that I kind of like made sure the community was still there was like, even in the face of like no one being able to dance to the music, I can still work on more music so that when it does come time for, everybody to be back outside, I'll have my USB ready with like music of my sound and music that feels like how everybody did during that time, but it's now finally being released into the world, and that's really how I kind of kept it together during that time.
Yeah.
Word.
WYXR is how I met Rmzi. Like I remember listening to his show and just thinking, this is a guy that I have to meet. Just listening to like the playlist he had, I was like, this is a person that I would most likely get along with very well. Which totally true. We do get along very well. But
yeah, for sure.
That, and also like having somewhere to go, like having the studio to go to, having WYXR where like I had a gig and I could go there every week and it was consistent. And it was also this very like welcoming space where they just kind of let you do whatever you want. Like having that was so significant, I think, to me in general with music, because I had been DJing a lot before the pandemic, and when it all happened, I kind of took it as a sign, like just let everything go until something materializes. Like don't try and force it. I was never like in favor of the kind of like Twitch streaming or like online set or like playing music for a digital audience or something like that. I just sort of thought like, take a step back and I don't know, like see what comes and what has been changed through this whole process.
Word.
Yeah, I took a very different approach and like doubled down on all the Twitch stuff. Like I actually I said a little bit earlier, like I started like mixing during the pandemic, right? Like I was a radio DJ for years, like in college, but I never had like mixed a song in my life basically before the pandemic hit. And then I was like, oh, I have all this time. Like this is great. Let me just buy the like nicest controller I can find. I had a little bit extra money in my pocket, and then I think I streamed twice a week, every week for like maybe 3 or 4 months in No, probably like 6 months in 2020, and then another 6 months in 2021 until we started doing shows really like consistently. And so for me, it was like this is the best time to practice, and I got in the reps because I was probably more consistent doing shows during the pandemic than or during like true like quarantine than even now. I
Wow.
feel like I'm so busy now. Like then I was just dedicated to it, and now I was just practicing all day long. Now not that it's not a chore by any means. Like it's still something that I love. Like that's why we're all together. But it's interesting how it's that once you go to the real world, it's like so much more difficult to like manage everything around it. Like all the music is the same, but all the other stuff is like a whole. It's like whole. I mean, that's why we're together, right? I think for one person to manage, it's like it's a lot. It's incredibly overwhelming. Making flyers, calling all your friends,
Yeah.
doing all this, that, and the other. Like
When you're a DJ, you're literally your promoter. You're literally your PR. You're all of these things. Like you wear it's like, and it's wild to know how to do all of these things, but at the same time, like you kind of have to until you get to a point to where like you don't. I mean, you can.
I was done with that. Like, I personally was done with doing the completely holistic, DJ does everything, flyers, promotion, figure out who the security is for the venue, figure out who the bartender is for the venue, like renting the sound, picking up the sound, which involves picking up 18-inch QSC subwoofers, which they weigh like 40 pounds, putting them in the back of the car, just lifting heavy shit.
Yes, being your own
I was
sound man.
done with all of that, and I don't think that, like, unless I had the kind of collective spirit, I would have gone back into it, because I didn't want to do everything myself at all.
Want to learn more about how you can support the Levitt Shell and its mission of building community through music, education, and diversity? Head to levittshell.org. You can read up on our 85-year history, check out our schedule of live and virtual events, visit our shell shop to grab all the swag, and find out ways you can participate in our mission, whether that's through donations, volunteering, sponsoring a show, or becoming a member of our Shell Circle. Once again, levittshell.org.
I remember meeting Rmzi and automatically feeling like, all right, this is homie. Like, I don't even know this guy, but I feel like I've known this person for like, you know what I mean? And it was just like, I feel like he felt that we needed community. I don't know. Like, I feel like that was just like a sensitive thing that he just kind of like felt. And I needed community because I was like, even though I was playing gigs, having a great time, I was doing it by myself and it was very lonely, but I didn't even know how to articulate that like at all until one day I was just like venting to Rmzi about like how I just felt like I needed to, I don't know, I felt like there was something missing, like there was something I needed to do. Like we literally scheduled a Zoom call so like he could like help me, and he was just like, you need like, would you like want to like spin with others? And I was like, honestly, I think that might be what I need to like do. And now like, and it just feels like I found like my soul tribe,
Wow.
And it just fits like a glove, and it's cool. Like these are I call them my water boys because I'm really tired.
all water signs.
I love it. And so you all recently, this fall, did a show in New York. How was that experience? Taking this Memphis vibe and bringing it to New York.
I don't know.
A lot of people from Memphis were there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Just happened to be in New York.
It was so many Memphis people there.
Yeah, that was cool. And it was like
we were at Lamplighter.
Yeah, we did 2 shows. We did the first live show, and that was in Brooklyn, and that was our like initial first like Bodywerk function out in New York. And we just had so many Memphis people kind of show up, and it was really just like, wow, you know what? Are we down the street? Are we on Madison right now? Like it just really felt really good, and it kind of it certified it for me that like, yo, we're doing the right things because people that we know are out here that, you know, if we go somewhere else, we're bound to know someone that we can run into and, you know, kind of keep our community thing going. And then with the second show that we did, was that the lot or am I?
I think the second, well, it was your third show because you did Heaven in Las Vegas. This guy is humble. He was on tour. Let's like be very frank about what was going on. Qemist was on tour, and we were the last stop of
came
this
with
tour.
my bags. Like my flight landed at like midnight, and I ended up at Qemist
at the club.
At the club with his bag.
Yeah, 1:30, like 2 maybe.
It was awesome.
True friendship. True friendship.
Came right off the flight to the club to see me, and I was like, yeah this is so.
But then, yeah, the third show was the lot, which I was so excited about. Like, I'm pretty sure it was like I was about to move to New York. Like, I was literally like 2 or 3 days before I moved to New York, and I was like, I gotta do something before I leave. And I was like, I should probably meet Ross, and like in person. Ross had played on my Twitch stream, and like, you know, we just like not physically connected before. I think you had played on my show before we met in person. Is that right?
No.
Okay, maybe it was right after that. No, that was right before I went to New York. But yeah, it was like really exciting. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, we just met. I went to New York. I came home to like grab all my stuff and drive back up with all my stuff. And I was like, Ross, like, we should play the lot. And he's like, yeah, man, I love the lot. It's like, yeah, okay, word. That was in May, and I was just like going to the lot and meeting all these DJs in New York and like going to their shows and being like, hey, you guys know how I can play at the lot? Like, and it was just like literally a street team. Like I was just like, hey, like, I'm a DJ too. I was like, it was so strange. It felt so weird to do that. Like, you know, I remember being a freshman in college and being like, hey guys, my name's Rmzi. Like, nice to meet you. You know, I'm 30 now. Like, it's a little different. And so, you know, like finally after like all this, you know, kind of legwork to just like meet as many people as possible, I finally got the nod. Like, oh yeah, you guys want to play? Like, come up. And so I let everybody know in the chat. I was like, who's available, booked everybody's flights, and then, you know, they came up and we did the thing.
Sick.
And that was a super special moment for all of us, I think.
Yeah,
it's hard to convince people that you are like the right choice for something, because you know you are. You're like out there talking like, we should play it a lot. You're right, and like in hindsight we were right because it went really well.
I recorded the whole thing.
Oh.
I had a gig that weekend, and I was so sick. Because when I tell you, the lot radio was something that I used to listen to in my 9-to-5 job, like, before the pandemic. Like, Kimmy knows. Like,
yeah, no, we go way back.
I was like, yo, this is not light at all. I was crying, like, watching it. I was like, yes. I just like come from a meeting at Young Avenue Deli. I was drunk. I was like, this is awesome, my boys.
I love it. So, I mean, you all are obviously going to play the lot again, full crew.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, that's already in the works. Yeah, you know, way ahead of you.
Good stuff. Well, tell me what's on tap for 22.
We do. We're playing in Nashville. Bodywerk takes Nashville. At the end of January. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
January 28th, we're playing Wilburn Tavern in Nashville. We actually have like I guess you would say like a sister collective in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
They're called Damelo. And it's 4 DJs or 5 DJs?
I think it's
5 DJs. I would, you know, you should look them up, damelo.wave on Instagram. But they're wonderful. They're like actually I met one of the founders of Damelo, Stephanie Medina, at Central Station. She and I were connected through the like Soul in the Horn Twitch stream. Like we knew each other from like talking in the Twitch stream while Natasha Diggs is like the house DJ. Well, she would DJ, and we connected on IG, and Egon was playing at Central Station, and she's like, I love Egon, and Egon's like whole connectivity to like Vanderbilt and Nashville and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know anything about that, but she was like, I love Egon, like I'll be there. And she like drove 3 hours. We had never met in person. She was like, you going? I'm like, I'm going, like let's meet. and we went to the show. I think everybody here was there too, right?
That's sick.
That's where I met.
And then, Stephanie and I were like, let's do something together, right? So a couple months passed by, and then I went and did a show at the Sea Gallery. I don't know if you know Clarence Edwards, but his gallery out in Nashville. I did a show there with Stephanie. I guess it was October, maybe September. And she started a collective, like a non-binary, femme, LGBTQ friendly, this kind of collective of DJs, and they're wonderful. They're awesome. It's been really awesome to watch this like cross Tennessee connection occur, just purely based on the strength of like the music that we love.
Yeah,
we're linking up. Tennessee's a long state.
That it is.
A lot of work to link it all up.
Yeah. Word. Yeah. That's it.
Some parts of Eastern Tennessee is closer to Canada than it is to Western.
For real?
That's a fact.
Fun fact. Dropping facts.
It is 8 hours long. It's a big.
It has different time zones. A lot of other states don't have it. Yeah. There you go.
Maybe I think it's all one vibe though. I don't know why, but like all of Tennessee has like cool music. Like I think it's like. I don't know. For me, I've seen like every time somebody's like really appreciative of music, I'm like, "Where are you from?" They're like, "I'm from Tennessee." I'm like, "All right, okay." Like, and it's cool to see something that I think is counter to the types of cultures here in Memphis and in Nashville, right? Like, it's not a country situation. They play like the same kind of music that we do, plus like vinyl, like that rock, like all of us play as well. Like, I think we're both trying to shake up. Or really take the opportunity as we like re-enter society to like, bring the things that we love and build the scenes that we love, because nobody's going to do that for us.
That's dope. Well, man, this went by way too fast. Before we wrap up, if you all wouldn't mind sharing how everyone can connect with you all individually, collectively, on socials, and however else on the interwebs.
I mean, just to start, you can catch all of us at _Bodywerk, BODYWERK. You can catch all of our announcements for shows and some like nice videos and stuff. We're trying to be more, social. So that's all coming. I myself am just Rmzi, Rmzi Abdosh. You can look me up on IG, and I post lots of pictures of my mom.
Loves it.
DJ Chandler Blingg, 2 G's at DJ Chandler Blingg.
Good stuff.
I am Qemist. You can find me at Qemmy. That's QEMMY _. Yeah, I think I'm that name on all of the channels that I'm on: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Napster.
Good stuff.
I'm Ross. I host Rust. It's every Sunday at noon on WYXR 91.7 FM.
Nice.
And refer to Bodywerk.
Good stuff. Well, man,
we should add our names and our
shows.
Our shows.
Oh yeah, the shows. I forgot.
I host Computer Noise Radio on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Time on WYXR 91.7. Techno, house music, all that good stuff. Breaks, aiming,
My show is on Tuesdays, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Mahogany. That is the name of the show. Brought to you by DJ Chandler Blingg. Not one, but 2 G's.
Love it.
My show is called Habibi Beats, and it is Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. So tune in. It's mostly, I don't know, it's all over the place. It's however I feel at this point. But I think I wooed some other members in this crew by playing a lot of like international music, a lot of jazz, funk, soul, and house music.
This has been awesome. I'm so grateful that you all decided to chat with me, and looking forward to seeing and dancing to more of those good vibes you all bring.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us. It's a huge pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks again to Rmzi, Qemist, DJ Chandler Blingg, and Ross. To stay connected on all things Bodywerk, be sure to follow the collective on Instagram at _BODYWERK. Make sure you subscribe to hear all of our episodes. Please feel free to drop a small gift at levittshell.org/virtualbucket to support the Levitt Shell. Thanks again, and be sure to tune in for our next episode of the Shellcast.